Still updated.
It's working now?
No, it's updated.
No, it's still up to date.
Are we still up?
It's way outdated.
They're pretty old.
Well, that's stuff. Yeah. Mine's battery just
Yeah. I don't remember when.
They was looking to there to see how we were working.
They're probably 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old. Steve, do you remember when we got these? Were you on the council?
We had the iPads.
Yeah.
For a very short time.
Yeah. So they're probably
That
7
iPad for
years.
just 10 years.
Yeah.
That iPad's only a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think it was 2 total. They said, you can't have those anymore.
Yeah, they didn't work.
And I still do this, trying to tap the screen. And I can't figure out why
They
it
make
doesn't
these that
work
you can
on
do
here.
that. They make these that you can do that. You tap the screen.
I know, but this isn't one of them.
No.
Because I sat here for
Because this
like
is an
10
old
minutes
version.
today going, what is wrong with this?
The problem is I don't have enough circulation in my hands.
To know
So
whether
there's
you
no
did it.
temperature in my hand, and I can't feel it in my hand, so pretty soon I'll go, let that thing change.
That's because they don't react to that. You
Who
do
knows
have
how
to
old
use
those
the
iPads were at that point, too.
I know.
Huh?
Who knows how old the iPads were? We replaced them.
Yeah, but they were touchscreen.
Well, I know.
You know, and you could do that. And like I said, I spent like 4 straight days.
And they were a lot littler to carry around.
I'm doing this on this going,
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
and I look and go, oh, not my way.
Yeah.
Use the mouse.
Got a good idea this time. He never texted me otherwise. He usually skirts in at the last minute.
Got 7 more minutes, 6 more minutes. I didn't even think I was like to walk in and see everyone's already doing breakfast. I'm the first one here. I was here.
You and I, yeah. And Tanya.
Yeah, my leg, I had leg.
I try to come early because if it does need to update or whatever, I don't want to be stranded
Well, I
with our
want to make sure all
computer.
comes up, you know. It's like racing today, we always do it plenty early.
Me too. Well, my mom was big on that, so if I'm not 15 minutes early, I feel late.
I was always taught, the time you go to work, you to be there, you're ready to work
Yes,
everything.
yes.
I
Same.
show up at that time.
Yep.
My neighbor knew what time she went to work, because that was when she was flying out the alley to go to work. So I thought, yeah, she went to work at 8 o'clock, so I'd be out at 8
It
o'clock.
drives me crazy. I have some employees that are very much like that.
Yeah.
I have one in one of my other counties that's 30 minutes late.
You don't think nothing about it, so. Yeah. Anytime it's 7, you know.
We just found it out because she had a different boss, and that boss wasn't really keeping tabs on her, and so now we're finding out all this stuff. See, there he is. He's even 4 minutes early. Okay. Hi, Daryl. Thank you.
Thank you.
She said usually.
Thank you.
Bring it with you everywhere.
About the last 2 days. He's got 240 packs sitting there. She's got 240 packs in there.
I can't really carry water in right now.
No, I just told her, I says, when you're in water.
Yeah. I just can't carry it right now.
Get one of them little mobility scooters and put it on.
No. You know when people offer me those at the store? I'm like, no, I don't want it.
Do it so I can be there, so I can take pictures of you.
No.
I told her. I'll do that.
Except for,
And I'm like for lunch on still. So I don't know what to do.
Did you get that bracelet?
Yes, thank you.
the computer.
Becky from
Barb?
tell her it was my fault.
Okay.
It's called Walker.
I haven't seen her in a while, but
She's probably thinking,
Yeah, she says they have.
yeah, probably not.
Daryl did it.
It's a special little thing.
Oh, come on, go get her. What's the program we went on? Board Docs? Oh, I was trying to remember what program it was to vote. This thing's doing its thing.
You mean vote?
Huh?
You mean vote?
Yeah, like when oh, I don't know if I remember this one. It's wonderful. I don't think my computer's gonna be up today.
All right, it is 6 o'clock, and we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lynn, will you please conduct roll call?
Madam Mayor Jacqueline Wells,
Here.
Vice Mayor Darrell Garner,
Here?
Councilmember Derek Elliott,
Here.
Councilmember Tanya Lumen,
Here.
Councilmember Terry Patterson,
Here.
Councilmember Steve Sanger,
Here.
Councilmember Bruce Seeloff.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, moving down to the approval of the agenda. Do you want Steve to do it?
He can move and then I can amend,
Okay.
however you want to do it.
Go ahead.
I move to approve, boy, oof. I move to approve the August 18th, 2026 City Council agenda as presented.
Second?
Can I amend? When do I amend? Okay. I would like to amend the agenda to add under number 9, new business, A, to approve the proposed Office of Management and Budget, OMB, changes to federal grant regulations.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been seconded to amend the August 18th agenda as amended.
Amended.
Do I have any discussion? Then when you're ready, will you open the online voting, please?
Online voting is open.
Yay, because my computer is updates are underway.
Yours too?
Is this the amended
It
One
says
link.
amended, yeah, as supposed to say amended, sorry. You guys did hear me.
Sorry, what was that?
Amended, it does say amended.
Okay.
It'll be 9C. Online,
It says as presented,
I know I changed it to amended.
so we have to refresh and reread.
Hold on. So it should say it now.
So we're gonna have to refresh it.
Do we have to refresh?
Yeah.
Matt, I'm gonna say we probably do, yeah.
Online voting is open.
There we go.
Councilmember Lumen, did you want to do a voice?
Yay.
I didn't update.
Did you refresh? I just voice vote.
Vice Mayor, did you want
Should be good.
to? Okay.
Just
great.
refreshed.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
All right, moving
So-
down. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, can you just hold on? Let me just add that agenda item, if you would, please.
Sure.
And then you guys can refresh.
We're gonna have to refresh again, so maybe it'll catch up.
Okay, so just go ahead and hit refresh and it will be 9C.
9C?
I need to, and it should be there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you all have it?
I have.
I do.
Thank you.
Doesn't say C, but it's there.
All right, moving down to the approval of the consent agenda.
I can't get that.
Councilmember Patterson.
Move to approve the city consent agenda of August 18th, 2026 as presented.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the city council consent agenda of August 18th, 2026 as presented. Any discussion? All right, then we open online voting, please.
Online voting is open.
Yay.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas and 1 nay. The 1 nay is Councilmember Elliott.
All right, moving down to public hearings. The first public hearing is to approve the Maverick Inc. doing business as Maverick number 724, retail liquor license number 85, request to change its legal name to Maverick Group LLC, doing business as Maverick number 724, retail liquor license number 85. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on this public hearing? Okay, seeing none, I will close that public hearing and open another public hearing for approving a rezoning change for the property formerly known as the Lawrence property. The lower portion of the property consists of roughly 4.88 acres with a proposed change from I industrial to R 7.5 residential R 7.5. And then the upper portion of the property consists of 9.15 acres with a proposed change from I industrial to C2, commercial C2. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on this public hearing? Okay, hearing none, we will close that public hearing and move down to citizens' participation. This is a time for public comment set by resolution number 2C 1996 and sets a time limit for public comment for 5 minutes with the provision that the 5-minute time limit may be increased at the request of a member of the public or any council members subject to the vote of the council. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on something not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will move down to board appointments and presentations and the community. I'm sorry.
I would like to ask the mayor's request that we could switch 6A and 6B as the presenter for 6A is driving in to present it.
Sure, we will move down to the we'll start with the proclamation for marking September as the Continental Divide. And I would like to invite Councilmember Patterson, since he is our designated CDT guy, to read the proclamation. And so, go ahead, Councilmember Patterson.
Everybody on CDT, come on, let's get up here. City of Rawlins, Wyoming proclamation. Whereas the Continental Divide is home to extraordinary long-distance trails that connect communities, landscapes, and people from across the nation and around the world. And whereas the Continental Divide National Scenic Trail stretches more than 3,000 miles along the backbone of America, providing access to some of the nation's most wild, scenic, and treasured landscapes, and passes directly through the city of Rawlins. And whereas the Great Divide Mountain Bike Route, the world's longest mapped off-pavement cycling route, also brings long-distance cycling through Rawlins as they travel along the Continental Divide. And whereas September 2026 marks the 10th anniversary of the city of Rawlins becoming a designated Continental Divide Trail Gateway community, and whereas over the past decade, the Rawlins community has continued to strengthen that connection by welcoming trail users and investing time, resources, and volunteers' effort in the Continental Divide Trail, and whereas recent community efforts have included the creation of an annual event, Halfway Days, marking the trail through Rawlins, installing and maintaining community support, water caches for trail users, celebrating the unique intersection of the divide with modern transportation routes, participating in trail cleanup efforts, and maintaining a local committee supporting and strengthening Rawlins' connection to the Continental Divide Trail. And whereas Rawlins businesses, organizations, volunteers, and residents provide important services, resources, information, hospitality, and encouragement to the hikers and cyclists who travel through our community. Whereas the Continental Divide Trail and Great Divide Mountain Bike Route provide opportunities for Rawlins residents to experience, explore, and take pride in the remarkable outdoor recreation resources that connect directly with our community, encouraging people of all ages to spend time outdoors, enjoy local landscapes, and recognize the unique opportunity of having nationally significant trails travel through our own hometown. And whereas Rawlins' location along these national routes creates opportunities for economic development by bringing hikers, cyclists, and other visitors into the community where they support local businesses, purchase goods and services, stay overnight, dine, resupply, and enjoy Rawlins as an important stop along their journey. And whereas the city of Rawlins recognizes that our place along these trails creates opportunities for outdoor recreation, community pride, tourism, volunteerism, and connection with people from around the world.
Now, therefore, I, Jacqueline Wells, Mayor of the City of Rawlins, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim this month of September 2026 as Continental Divide Trails and encourage all residents to celebrate our Continental Divide Trails, experience the outdoor opportunities they provide, support the people and businesses who welcome trail users, and join in continuing to make Rawlins a welcoming community along the divide. Go Councilmember Patterson.
I've also been asked to speak a little bit on this. Wasn't long ago, a certain individual approached me after one of our meetings and asked me if I would be interested on being on the committee for the Continental Divide Trail. Well, me being me, the way I used to be, thought, okay, I'll show up, but my first thought was, what am I going to have that this group needs? So I went to the first meeting, and I'm sitting there, and as one of the individuals put it, I didn't look very interested in it. At the time, I wasn't. And the more you're on this committee, the more it gets into your bones. Literally gets into your bones. It's a part of you. This has taken a big part of my life. I'm dedicated to this project, and I think I always will be. This committee and the Continental Divide Trail Coalition have done a lot for me publicly and privately. I've opened up. I'm not afraid to speak my mind on what I think can happen. Rawlins is a very important part of my life. I've lived here for my whole life. Yesterday was my birthday, 68 years in this community. So, yes, I'm proud of that too. And people ask me, why do I live here? Well, go out toward the north, the Great Basin, and just get on the top of Willow Hill when you're driving down and look out there. It may not look like much, but that's my home. That's where I was raised, live, and I always will. So this Continental Divide Trail, this summer we have made great big strides in what we've done. We started off with, we helped BLM with their trail days cleanup. We went out south of town. Some of the people stayed here in town cleaning up. Well, we went out south on a small part of this trail, and you would not believe the trash we picked up along this trail. About 4 tons worth of trash. Again, there we're going to thank the city because they let us dump that trash, and BLM provided the equipment to haul it. So that was one of our projects. One of our other projects was creating a water cache, of which we put out north. And if everybody remembers the winter we had, there's not much water out north right now. Matter of fact, I would hesitate to say it's very scarce. So we put this water cache out there, and it has got tremendous use. We have a sign-up book, and if anybody wants to see pictures of it, I was out there this morning, and the people that are signing this login book that we put out there, I don't know how to explain it. It's awesome. I speak with people that are out there occasionally. I spoke to one from Spain, Australia, Switzerland, and these people are amazing. And then we had our halfway days, which was a tremendous feat put on. Rawlins businesses, DDA, Discover Carbon County, they all did a fantastic job, plus all the volunteers we had. This community outdid itself with our volunteers. Just here lately, we thought, well, we need more water out south of town because we keep hearing complaints that no matter where you get water out south, it tastes terrible and you can't filter it. I mean, it still tastes terrible even if you filter it. So Don and Christy and me and my wife, who she finally got her trail name, we finally figured it out. Her trail name is Scarlet, and you wouldn't believe what mine was, but it's Waterboy. And we proceeded to take another cache out and put it on the Bridger Peak Pass Road. And we had some hikers that were with Don and Christy out there, and they thought this was fantastic. And they took pictures of it. Well, it wouldn't surprise me if we see a little video of that coming back somewhere. So we see that.
3 days, it'll be on YouTube.
So it's awesome when we put it together. Everybody says, well, you did a lot of it. No, this is a group effort. It always has been. The Continental Divide Trail means so much to me and to these people that when you talk about it, it will bring tears to your eyes. So I'm thankful for the support of our community. Our residents of Rawlins during halfway days was just totally awesome. I mean, we had a lot of stuff going on that day. And the biggest thank you I think I can give right now were the hikers and bikers that attended this. They were fantastic. I'm 68 years old. I was down there talking to these young people that are coming through, and on halfway days, I had several of them come up and grab me from where I was sitting, and I had to go play musical chairs with them. A little bit later, the watermelon eating contest. Well, guess what? They came and grabbed me, and I was in the watermelon eating contest. And I had fun with these people the whole weekend. So not only am I going to thank this committee for Rawlins and the coalition, Teresa Martinez and her crews, but the community of Rawlins. You bent over backwards. I love this trail so much that in the spring of next year, I am going to do something that I didn't think I ever would. I'm going to outfit myself with the pack, all of the essentials, and I'm going to do a 100-mile trek of the Continental Divide Trail.
I'll be there with you, brother.
So, thanks everyone. I got a little bit emotional. I know Don does when he talks about it. We all do when we talk about it because it means that much to us. So thank you as a community for being there for us when we've needed it.
Well, I don't think there's much more to say about that. Thank you, Councilmember Patterson. Happy birthday. All right, and thank you to the Continental Divide Committee for all the hard work you guys do. We'll move down to the Community Builder Award for August 2026. And I will invite the volunteer committee.
Madam Mayor and Council, the Community Builder Award is a monthly award the city presents to local individuals, businesses, and organizations for their volunteer service, sponsorship, promotion of programs and events, outstanding service in the interest of the city for the contributions significant to the Rawlins quality of life. The Volunteer Committee would like to present the August 2026 Community Builder Award to Pet Partners.
Good evening. It is my privilege to present the City of Rawlins Community Builders Award to Pet Partners of Carbon County. Pet Partners has been an important part of animal welfare in Rawlins and throughout Carbon County since 2005. When Pet Partners began, their work extended well beyond cats. They were heavily involved in helping dogs and different animals. And they played a significant role in the development and construction of our current shelter that was built, the Rawlins Rochelle Animal Shelter, which opened in 2007. Over the years, as the needs of our community have changed, so has Pet Partners, and they're focused. In recent years, they have focused much of their attention on one of the most difficult animal welfare issues facing our community, feral cats and community cats. Throughout their trap, neuter, release program, Pet Partners works to humanely reduce and manage our feral cat population. Their volunteers trap cats, coordinate veterinary care, provide vaccinations, spay and neuter, return appropriate feral cats to their colonies, foster, socialize kittens and cats so that they have an opportunity to be adopted. The impact of this work has been tremendous. In 2022, Pet Partners has cared for 254 cats and kittens. That increased to 330 in 2023. In 2024, 258, and in 2025, 373. Already in 2026, they have cared for more than 155 cats and kittens. For more than 2 decades, these volunteers have identified what our community needed and found a way to help, whether that meant helping build a shelter, caring for cats, finding animals new homes, and addressing the growing challenge of feral cat populations. And most impressively, this is 100% volunteers. This is exactly what Community Builders is about. It's about seeing a need, stepping forward, and making your community better without expecting recognition in return. Pet Partners help build the foundation of animal welfare in Rawlins with their involvement in our shelter, and today they continue the legacy by addressing problems that would otherwise place a tremendous strain on our community, and specifically the Rawlins Animal Shelter. It take a lot of burden off of the shelter and their staff, and of course the taxpayers. So on behalf of the City of Rawlins, I want to thank every past and present Pet Partners volunteer, foster family, donor, veterinary partner, and supporter who has contributed to this organization over the year. Thank you guys.
Just for everybody's information, they're donating their money to Pet Partners.
Glad to hear that.
Thank you so much for
Thank you so much for the work that you do. I have a Pet Partners cat named Taco, and she's pretty great.
Isn't that a requirement of Rawlins citizens to have a cat?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, my two come from there too.
All right, moving down to reports and information, and we have a update from the Carbon County Airport Board. I thought I saw him. Please state your name, JR.
Hi, I'm J.R. Eggleston. I'm representing the Rawlins Carbon County Airport Board this evening. Currently, we are working on a project to install a fueling system, off-hours fueling system. We just finished the first portion of the seal, coat, and mark project for the runway. It's a state-sponsored project to maintain our runway longevity. They require we do it every 3 years. It seems to be working. So we did have although we were competing with the halfway days, we did have a fairly successful event. We had approximately 250 people come out to the car show and the plane show at the airport. So we intend to try to make that an annual event. Maybe change the date. So, are there any questions for me?
Any questions? JR, I have some thank you cards from our council to your board, council and staff. Thank you. Thanks for all you do. Okay. Moving down to city manager and staff reports, and I will pass it over to you, City Manager Hall.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Council. So for some updates this week, we have Kyle Berkshire. He's been at the Rochelle Ranch Golf Course since Monday, August 17th. He's attempting to break his record that he set out there a few years ago. It currently stands at 579.6 yards, and they've got a nice little runway set up for him. He's trying to get it around 600, hopefully, and they're waiting for the weather conditions to set in right, so we're hoping they'll stick around at least till Friday if they need to for that. Want to remind everyone the ribbon cutting for the 287 bypass pedestrian underpass is scheduled for is this Thursday, the 24th September.
Yes.
At 5:30 p.m. And of course, we'll have some more information as that starts getting closer. The Rawlins Rec Center will be closed August 30th through September 7th for its seasonal cleaning and maintenance. The Rec Center will be reopening on Tuesday, September 8th, with weekend hours resuming after Labor Day. The city offices, the Animal Shelter, Recreation Center, Landfill, Recycling Center, and Outdoor Shooting Range will all be closed Monday, September 7th in observance of Labor Day. However, the police and fire departments will remain operational to serve the community. Rawlins Landfill will reopen on Tuesday, September 8th at its usual time. The Rochelle Ranch Golf Course will be open throughout the weekend and on Monday as well. And if you're watching this and you still haven't yet, I'd encourage everyone to go out and vote and congratulate everyone that has today. It's a big day. There's a lot of important races, local and even statewide, that you guys need to participate in. And then I have two updates that I'll turn it over to staff, one from our finance director and the other one from our public works director. So I'll invite Laura.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Honorable Council. One of the tasks that's been asked of me is to create for you a little report that talks about the financial impact of the decisions made throughout the year and how they then relate to the budget. So as a result, I have created this, what I am affectionately calling the Vista View from the Rawlins Finance Department. I don't get often get the opportunity to be creative. This is how it happens. So this is just a quick snapshot of the city finances, and this is as of June 30th and covers the year of 2026, the fiscal year of 2026. So with that, I'd like to just draw a couple of things out from the report. I do kind of a mile marker summary here. I did want to point out that our general fund revenues are very strong in nearly every category. The general fund expenditures were a little bit higher than the previous year, but that increase represents several large-scale projects that happened in order to maintain our city services. 2 of our 3 Parks and Rec programs collected enough revenue to cover 100% of their operating expenses, and all of our enterprise funds made a net profit. With that, I'd like to look at our general fund revenues. I'd like to point out that compared to our budget, we made 109% of our budgeted revenues. That represents an increase of just over $1.3 million. Compared to 2025, we increased by almost $1.4 million over the prior fiscal year. A few reasons for that I cover in our impacts. First, the positive ones. These revenues collected more than they were expected to collect. Our regular fifth penny sales and use tax, as well as specific purpose taxes, these all beat the budget out significantly. The result of this, one, it shows that the spending in Carbon County remains higher than what was expected. And our specific purpose tax, as you know, pays for several capital expenditures, large capital expenditures. That's now expected to be paid off 4 to 5 years earlier than originally anticipated back in 2019. That's a huge win for the entire county. In addition, our licenses and permits, cemetery revenues, police and court revenues, general fund grants, all exceeded expectations. Gaming revenues also exceeded their expectations. This is an increase that from the state level is expected to continue going forward for the next few years. And in addition, our franchise fees exceeded their expectations. There were a few downsides, as there always are in revenues. A few that didn't quite come in as high as expected. One is our cigarette taxes. This is an anticipated decline, and it's expected to continue in the coming years, of course.
I would say that's a good thing.
Depends on perspective, I guess. Our county motor vehicle taxes are a little bit lower than expected. This is something I'll be monitoring going forward and working with the county to see what might be going on there to make that happen. Mineral taxes also came in below expectations. This was a direct result of our unseasonably warm winter, so the need for our natural gas to heat our homes was not as high, and that creates a deficit there. Hopefully, we will get a winter this year, and that will spike back up. Impact assistance fees also came in a little bit low. This is one that we can't really control. It's all based on certain projects and how they spend their money. And interest incomes also came in below projections. This is one that was a direct impact from some unfortunate circumstances for Rawlins, in that our money was only minimally invested for the first half of the year. When I came on board, one of the first things I did was get things invested according to the investment policy. So we should see in 2027 that spike back up as well. I did want to talk a little bit about reserves for a second. So the priority on June 30th was the budget reserves. We have a minimum of 270 days asked for by the investment policy. That balance would, at minimum, is $10,600,000. 10,000 be great. On June 30th, we had $12,214,000. We beat our expectations of that 270 days. With that, we will switch our priorities down to our capital replacement fund, which in our general fund is now the only fund that is currently under-reserved by a significant portion. So we will start moving our reserves now to try and fill in that gap. That's going to take a little while. In addition, we do have our technology and vehicle replacement funds. We have a little bit of a Bolton Park repair fund that's donor restricted. And then we have our appropriated funds that are currently invested. These are long-term expenditures, such as the sixth penny and the impact fees. They're very long projects. We pay these, such as for the Edinburgh project is a primary example, over a long period of time, but those funds are invested in the meantime. On the expenditures, according to budget, we only spent 63% of what we projected at the beginning of the year. We did, however, increase over 2025 by a little over $2 million in expenditures. Again, this was because of several large purchases that we made in order to keep our capital up. With that capital, we did server upgrades. We provided for the fire, health, and safety supplies. We also did police mobile data terminals, and of course the Edinburgh Street rebuild, which is continuing still. In 2026, the general fund spent over $3 million in capital expenditures. I also go over our Parks and Recreation programs. Their capital expenditures were a portable scoreboard, music in the park equipment, and an HVAC overhaul. The Parks and Rec programs spent $1,100,000 in their capital improvements. And then onto our enterprise funds. Our water fund invested in their SCADA system, as well as the Sage Creek Spring Box design. Both of these, the project life is well over $1 million for both of these projects. And at June 30th, we had 3 projects slated to begin almost immediately. All 3 are in process now. the booster station, the cathodic protection, and the valve replacements on our transmission line. All three of those are in process at this time and total $7.5 million. In addition, our landfill also created some capital expenditures of $389,000 for a new loader. That was required by DEQ. And of course, the reserves for all of our enterprise funds, because enterprise funds are all combined into one type of reserve. Again, with our budget reserves, the minimum balance is 270 days. As of June 30th, we have 298 days. So we have also beat that as of the end of the year. We will then, as with general funds, move it to our capital replacement fund in order to move that up in priority and start filling that gap. The enterprise funds do have an investment account for operations and maintenance, as well as a tech and a vehicle replacement fund. With that, I feel like at the end of 2026, fiscal year 2026, our financial position actually is fairly strong, and we just need to keep moving on our capital replacement reserves. With that, I would take any questions that council might have.
Any questions? Councilmember Elliott?
A comment. This is really, really great job, Laura. This is a wonderful report.
Thank you.
And you were full of great news.
I try. Can't be all doom and gloom from finance.
Loved it. Any other questions or comments? Thank you so much, Laura. That was wonderful.
Sorry, I made a little slip. Not Public Works, but our Parks and Rec Director also has an update.
Wonderful. Come on up, Billy.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Council. So I just wanted to give a public recognition. So F&S Trucking recently did our cart path, and Steve Fritz and his crew went above and beyond. They kept us just below budget, but they put in extra work and time to take care of the cart path, and they took great pride in it. So I just wanted to get on record how much we appreciated their efforts. I did send him a separate email as well to thank him. But what they did, and they got it done in time for our state 3-man competition, and we have gotten tons of compliments just on the golf course and on the cart path. So I just want to make sure we got that on record. And then the second for me is I want to give a thank you to Cody. Cody and I have some transition overlap, and Cody came out and did some additional assessment because it's more his background than mine on some of that stuff. And so him coming out to help too was a big impact. So thank you for those two individuals.
Thank you. That's it? Okay. All right. Moving down to City Attorney Report. Attorney Mayberry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Honorable Council. Just a couple of updates. Charter Spectrum franchise agreement. I'm still awaiting response from them. What we have done is proposed an extension to the terms of the prior agreement, which is identical to the All West. And so we're just waiting a response from them. DDA project, the Wyoming Bar demo. The city recently received the grant funding agreement. However, there were numerous federal citation inconsistencies, and so we have pushed that back to WCDA to confirm what specifically they're asking for. Also, parallel to that, once that agreement is finalized, we will be putting together the bid documentation, working internally with a group of staff to put together those contracts, as it will require some coordination. There will be some remediation due to the nature of the materials that are inside of that building. Date Street Booster Station, on this one, I'm also working very closely with Public Works and the city engineer, and we are developing the contracts that are going to go out with the pump installation and the associated work. Hopefully we're going to get this turned around within the next week or two. We are working in an expedited manner on this emergency project, so we hope to have it fully installed by fall. In November. One last thing, our law clerk started last week. We are working closely with community development on some of those outstanding city property projects, and it is there's a lot of moving pieces in that, but we are starting to dig into that pile.
Wonderful. Any questions for Attorney Mayberry? Okay, thank you. City Council updates. Councilmember Seela?
Questions. Where are we at on the test on the cellular valve for the cemetery? We're going to try to get that something done so we could find out right away so we know where we're going.
Yes, so we've been working on that for the last week or so. Nate is in the process of purchasing the equipment, so we're breaking out 2 segments for you. We're doing, so you allocated money to us, right, for that project. I'm not a believer in just wasting money, so I wanted to make sure however we do it, that some of that money stays over. I just didn't want to have a system in place where, hey, it doesn't work and then we get rid of it and then we wasted that money. So we're kind of breaking it down into 2 segments. So we have a battery operated system that just goes right into the ground. So we're going to do a segment for that. And he's just getting ready to purchase that equipment. And then we're finalizing getting the order for the solar that Mr. Singer recommended, doing a section on that, and so we can test them both, and then we can have a little bit of a cost breakdown for you as well, and we'll see how the manpower associated with that and all that gets into place. So my goal, working with Nate, is going to depend on some of that equipment coming in timely, but we're hoping we'll have it here installed. He knows it's top priority, so we're hoping in a couple of weeks we get it installed, so we at least get a month testing before we get into next spring. And then we'll have all of spring and summer next year to kind of do those comparisons and break it down for you.
All right, Bobby, there, I got another question. Have we got any design plans for the west end of Rawlins as far as the right?
So Nate and I have talked about it. I don't have any plans drawn up yet, but we're looking at a couple different scenarios, got to break down costs. Some of it could be as simple as we cement over some of those dirt patches and we look at potted plants that have a self-watering system. Another option is turf, and then obviously if we want to stay with grass, how are we going to keep maintaining that with the overload of sprinkler heads that are breaking pretty consistently? Do we need to upgrade? So that is also a top priority that we're trying to move up the ladder for us too. But him and I are actually going to go out probably later this week, early next week. I told him I want to walk that with him so we can get a little more evaluation and just kind of figure out. There's a couple areas I think out there that maybe can just use cement because they're maybe off to the side and they're not necessarily a walkway. And then looking at our downtown, we have our downtown sidewalks with the graded trees and trying to do something more of that nature too. So I just got to break it down, do some cost comparisons. But yes, it's on the agenda. Obviously, it'll probably fall under next spring, but we're trying to break that down.
Do you mind if I went with you on your walk when you go up through this?
No, more than welcome. I'll send you an invite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councilmember Singer, you have something? Okay. Anybody else? Oh, it was you. Councilmember Patterson. It was you.
I have a couple questions. It could be Cody, it could be Panita. I don't know for sure. But I've had a couple calls concerning Visionary and All West, the way they've been doing their work. I know it's a contractor working, but it seems to me like they're overdoing what they were supposed to do in the first place. I don't remember anything in the contract or anything like that in the franchise fees that says they can go into people's yard and start digging them up. I've had several calls of people saying they're out there digging in my yard right now. Not the right of way, but their yards. And I don't remember that being in that portion of that. Maybe I overlooked it, but I don't think they should be digging unless the people have said, we want to purchase your service. And I know a lot of people would like an insight on this, so they at least understand it.
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Patterson. So I'd like to encourage folks that if they feel like if they're witnessing their property being trespassed upon, they need to call the police, because that's where we need to start that ball rolling for those kind of things. We do have a list of grievances that a lot of people have brought into our offices with staff, and the chief, from conversations this morning, is going to start looking into those, and as well as will communicate to his officers to respond to any of those complaints that they get going forward. I guess to follow up too, we do have, our community development director has been keeping track of all the complaints that have come into city and city staffs, and has a pretty good list that he's going to, and has been sharing with operators, because they're supposed to make everything whole at the end and repair things and stuff, and so we're monitoring all those as well.
Well, I even had one call that said they were boring in the street and they came up out of the bore and they're blowing high pressure water. Guy had his show car out there and they blew all kinds of dirt and stuff up on this show car. I'm going, that would be horrifying for somebody that has something like that.
Sure.
So, I just wanted to see whether I missed something here or what was going on, because I don't know how to answer these people when it comes to that.
They need to follow the city process and get a hold of the police for a lot of those things.
Okay.
And then we can get that going.
All right, thank you.
Vice Mayor Garner?
Just a follow-up question. What is the distance, roughly the distance from the road into the property that is the utility easement? Because I get asked this all the time, and I can never answer it correctly.
Well, frankly, it actually varies all around town. The dedicated streets, the right-of-way, and utility easements vary from section to section of town. As you know, our community was built in stages in different phases, so it's really not like we don't have a standard measurement, like it's 20 feet, like a road is not necessarily 20 feet wide everywhere. Also how curbs are, they're different. We do have some generalized guidance that Myra's put up. This is available on the city website. I believe it was also published on social media, but it just provides a general idea without looking at a specific plat or a property map. We can't necessarily state exactly what it is in any particular neighborhood or at a particular address.
But for the most part, there's an easement in the front and usually an easement in the back for utility.
It depends.
Just is there a map we can look at specifically to find this information, or
for each individual property would go to those specific plat maps, dedications.
Oh, okay.
It's unfortunately we don't have a nice consolidated map. It would have been, if we did, it would be taped together to show the city, because they have happened in different phases and developments.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Lou, did you have something to add?
I was just here to answer questions.
That's it.
But I'll go.
Councilmember Sanger?
Along what the Vice Mayor was asking, how does the individual homeowner find their easement?
Well,
so that if someone pops up in their yard, then they go, yeah, my easement's 5 feet that way.
I believe actually with this project, each of those providers were supposed to provide plans in each area. And so they should have been provided. Each of those contractors that are doing the work is supposed to have access and available plans and be able to answer questions. Where is the easement? What are the boundary lines that you're supposed to be working in? They are supposed to have that information available. That is something residents can reach out to community development, and they can also ask the contractors, whoever happens to be in front of their house or behind their house for that matter, to ask for clarification and confirmation. I'd like to see the map that demonstrates this, just for my own edification.
I have noticed that there's one guy that does primarily that. He just walks around and he's got a whole book of things and he's measuring from something. Is he the guy that they should be asking? If they're popping up in the middle of someone's driveway, coming up inside of a walkway?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Sanger, the way this initially started, we had a set of plans that were submitted, and they give us a weekly report of where they're going to be working. The only way we can truly find where the property corners are is if they know or they got their legal plat that was given to them, or talk to the local surveyor here in town where we get our information from. And I bet 99% of the time he has a copy of all the plats that they've surveyed.
Any further questions or city council updates? All right, moving down to unfinished business and to approve the third and final reading and waive the reading of the ordinance amendment to section 1015-070, failure to maintain liability coverage of the Rawlins Municipal Code. Do I have a motion? Councilmember Singer?
Ironic I'm doing this. I move to approve the third and final reading and waive the reading of an ordinance amending section 10.15.070, failure to maintain liability coverage of the Rawlins Municipal Code.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to approve third and final reading, waive the reading of the ordinance amending section 1015-070, failure to maintain liability coverage of the Rawlins Municipal Code. And I will pass it back to you, City Attorney Mayberry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Honorable Council. There have been no changes requested from the first to the second or the second to the third. The staff recommends approval of this ordinance modification.
Councilmember Singer?
So I've only read this about 1,900 times. What I've noticed is the failure was on our side because we didn't accept 31.4.103 in its entirety. We only accepted A. And there's a B and a C and a D and an E. There's a bunch of stuff inside of that. So the failure is on our end. It's not on anyone else's end. It would seem to me that it would be simpler for us just to accept 31.4.103 in its entirety. Just take out the A in the sentence. Because it says 31.4.103A. Just take out A. Then you have 31.4.103 in its entirety and accept it that way, then make it match into our particular code, 10.15.070. Then they can move it into their municipal court if that's what they wish to do, or it can go to the circuit court. And all of it can move because you've accepted the entire thing from beginning to end. We didn't do that the first time, and we're doing that again, where we're piecemealing and cherry picking parts of B and C and D. Wouldn't it just make more sense to just accept 31.4.103 in its entirety as our representation is 10.15.070?
Madam Mayor, as discussed previously, the statute provides explicit language to, in the event of X, you need to speak to the county clerk. In the event of Y, you need to direct this to the Department of Transportation. We don't have that authority. We don't have, so that's why this has been tailored.
Any further, Councilmember Singer?
When an officer raises his hand and he says he's going to enforce the laws of the state of Wyoming, isn't this a law in the state of Wyoming? So the only thing that would be different is it would get moved to the circuit court. That would be the only difference here. If we don't match 10.15.070 in its entirety, then it has to go to the circuit court. Would that be correct?
Madam Mayor, not necessarily. This would, could still be, would still be prosecuted in the municipal court. The issue is that just by a car driving down the street, you can't tell if they have insurance, if they have valid insurance, just by looking at the car. An insurance violation is a secondary violation that accompanies speeding, a traffic collision, something else. So there's something that triggers this type of citation. To separate these two citations out and have part of it go to municipal court, the other part too, that is part of the same underlying event, doesn't make any sense.
Councilmember Singer?
I agree with you. You can't separate them, so just send them to the circuit court. That's the easiest solution. Just send it to the circuit court. Then everybody is going to get treated exactly the same, because the dollar amounts are already in the state statute. They're there, and it's going to go to that court, and they're going to solve that. So I don't see why we would need to fix the state's issue here. It's not our issue, it's a state issue. This is a poorly written statute. It should go back to the legislature to be fixed. That's not our job. That's their job. And the easiest way for us to enforce it is just send it to the circuit court.
Madam Mayor, the county attorney's office has already explicitly stated on numerous occasions that matters that can be prosecuted through the municipal court should be prosecuted through the municipal court. Unfortunately, they do not have the bandwidth, the manpower to be handling a multitude of, frankly, petty offenses like this. Therefore, under the city's home rule authority to tailor ordinances to fit its needs, that's why this has been tailored to do so.
Chief Ward?
I was just going to say the same thing. Councilman Sanger, the county attorney has very strict rules when we can forward cases to the county court for their prosecution. When we have a city ordinance where it can be charged locally and prosecuted locally, that is absolutely their preference. To the extent that they will drop charges that we send up there that don't fit a certain level of seriousness without their permission ahead of time.
Not really our problem. I'm saying that because, in effect, we're trying to solve a problem for them. We're trying to move something into our court. We don't want to take the entire law that is currently written, which our police officers can enforce. They can enforce the entire law. It's whether or not it goes into a municipal court or it goes into a circuit court. We're not supposed to be making that decision. They have rules to make sure that they do those things, that it goes into a circuit court or it goes into a municipal court.
You lost me. I'm sorry, sir. Which rules are you talking about?
The rules where they assign it to what court. If they choose it to be a state statute, it's going to circuit court.
Correct.
If they choose it as a municipal ordinance, it's going to the municipal court.
Correct.
If we accept the entire thing as is.
Yes, sir.
And put it into 10-15-070, then it can all go to the municipal court.
You lost me on the last part, but may I add a couple comments really quickly? My preference is that when we adopt state law straight over to reflect the same thing in the municipal code, we should do that where we can. There's less confusion that way, there's less differences that way. This particular state law has small elements in it that we cannot adopt into municipal law because we don't have the authority to do so. And they're small things. They don't really affect the spirit of this law. They're the things that the city attorney mentioned, like there's something in the state law that requires a notification of a different county entity or something like that. We can't have that in our municipal law. But the main body of it, we can. I would also disagree with you respectfully that this is a bad law. This was obviously written with the inclusion of attorneys. This has been vetted through many levels and voted on at the state level and signed off by the governor. This law has been in effect for, we don't know how many years. It's obviously been challenged. It's been through all the court systems in the state. It is confusing. All laws are confusing. That's why we have specialists that interpret them for us. I don't see a problem with the state law myself. There is the A and the B. Those are the two main sections. I don't think there's anything in the state law that needs to be fixed or amended. I think when we adopt it into city ordinance, there are a few minor pieces of it that we can't do so. I don't know if one option, and it's a little late in the game since this is the third reading, is to adopt it straight over and then strike some of those things, or if that's exactly what you've done in the writing of it.
That's what I've done in the writing of it, is I've made it applicable, tailored it to the city's needs, so that we omit those portions that we can't enforce, we have no authority or jurisdiction.
And they're not, they are not, if you don't mind, They're not applicable to the
They
intent
don't
of the law. They're not.
impact the applicability and the ability of law enforcement to fully carry out the spirit of the statute as intended.
We'll do Vice Mayor first.
I just have a follow-up or a clarification. So the county attorney's office is not prosecuting these currently?
If we write it, they won't prosecute it unless we have permission ahead of time. There's certain serious crimes that we can just go ahead and charge in the county court. Felonies of certain, violent felonies, things like that. Minor charges, we have received instruction from them not to charge them in the county court. They don't have the ability to prosecute these cases from us in addition to the Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Office. So while we have the option to charge in a city municipal court, that is their preference, and they stand very strongly on that.
So the severity of it's not great enough to check the box for them.
Correct.
Councilmember Singer?
I find it hard to believe that we can't enforce Wyoming state law.
We
It's
can.
a state statute.
Yes, no, we can. It has to do with the capability of the county attorney's office to prosecute these charges from so many different agencies. Highway Patrol, all their citations written in Carbon County are going to be in county court, prosecuted by the county attorney's office. Everything that the sheriff's office charges is going to be in county court, prosecuted by the county attorney's office. In the city of Rawlins, we have our own laws, our own municipal ordinances, many of which reflect the state law. Others are specific to us. Code enforcement, nuisance laws, animal laws, zoning laws, specific to Rawlins that the rest of the county, other than other municipalities, doesn't have. So could we charge it? Absolutely. But we've been told if you can charge it in municipal court by the county attorney's office, that's where we want you to charge it, because we cannot handle the workload. And that's why we have a municipal court. I mean, we are allowed to have a municipal court under state law, so we do. And we have laws that are specific to Rawlins, and we have laws that mirror the state laws that we charge in municipal court.
Councilwoman Lumen?
So if I'm understanding this right, it's a Wyoming law that is worded specifically for the county to take care of.
For the state, or in this case, the county, yes.
Or state or county. So I'm a little confused as to if it's written in such a way for the county to take care of, why would they refuse to take care of it and try to push it on the city to take care of?
Frankly, these are, Madam Mayor, these are really easy types of citations. So either you have insurance or you don't. The statute, as well as drafted for the city ordinance, it provides you an out. If you happen to you didn't have the insurance card with you, you go back home and you prove to us that you had it, gets dismissed. These are really simple cases. It's either you had it or you didn't. There's no that's why they're, it's not, and they also usually follow a speeding in a school zone, something like that. So they're not significant types of citations. That's why it's, to push this onto the county attorney's office is frankly silly and not really, this is something we can easily dispense with when the documentation is provided. It's something simple for us to prosecute. And it's related to another citation that is related to a city ordinance.
To Mr. Sanger's point, it's it says in state law, county, and is worded for the county. So it's the county's responsibility.
It's also ours because it's city
right,
law.
Right, because you can give tickets too.
Right.
If that. But I understand his frustration with if it's stated to be a county responsibility and the county's not taking that on, that's very frustrating I think more people should run for county seats at that point. Because they should take care of what the state law says you should take care of. I personally like it because if our city police officer is going to give somebody a ticket, I find it more comforting to me that our court system take care of that. If you're going to give a ticket, our court system should take care of it on that end. But I do understand the frustration with it being set up in the Wyoming state law to be a county responsibility. They should take on their responsibility, no matter how insignificant they think it is. That's my thought.
Attorney Mayberry.
Madam Mayor, while I understand the confusion about this, this does go into our home rule ability to tailor ordinances for our needs. And this is one of those state statutes that the state legislature has granted municipalities the authority to tailor.
Councilmember Singer.
Whether they give us the authority to tailor is not relevant to the state law that is currently it exists now. Not relevant to that. Why? We can rewrite anything we want because they tell us we can. They say that we can do that. It's should we. It's not whether we can, because we can. It's should we be rewriting law that's not for us. We didn't write it in the first place. All we had to do, and when I got to sit with the Police Service Commission, they went through their entire manual and said, this is our number, this is the state number, refer to the state number. End of discussion. The whole entire manual, which was 70-something pages, ended up being 24 pages long. It got cut down that far by just saying, this is our ordinance, this is what it matches, and if the state amends it, we just follow along. That's all that they've said. And that's all I'm saying is if you literally went back and took out the A, you have now covered the entire state statute. It's whether, when you say that they can't enforce it in our courtroom, I don't know how that works because they're allowed to enforce the law of the state of Wyoming. If it can't go in our courtroom, there must be some issue that I'm unaware of. Because that's what you're telling me, is that we can't prosecute this in our courtroom because of X, Y, or Z. There's no asterisk next to 31-4-103 that says, except for this. There's nothing that says that. And unless it says that, how is that a thing?
All right. Is everybody good to vote? I think we've had plenty of discussion. Lynn, will you open online voting, please?
Online voting is open.
Yay.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas and 2 nays. The 2 nays is Vice Mayor Garner and Councilmember Sanger.
All right, moving down to new business and approving the retail liquor license number 85 legal name change. Do I have a motion? Vice Mayor Garner?
I think I'm on the right one. Okay. Move to approve Maverick Incorporated, doing business as Maverick. Number 724 retail liquor license, number 85, is requesting to change its legal name to Maverick Group LLC, doing business as Maverick, number 724 retail liquor license, number 85, located at 2346 West Spruce Street, Rawlins, Wyoming, effective August 18th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, it's been made and motion's been made and seconded to approve Maverick Inc. doing business as number 724 retail liquor license number 85 is requesting to change their legal name to Maverick Group LLC. Any discussion? Then we open online voting, please.
Online voting is open.
Yay.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
All right, moving down to approve a rezoning change for the property formerly known as the Lawrence property. Do I hear a motion? Councilmember Patterson?
Move to approve the rezoning change for the property formerly known as the Lawrence property. The lower portion of the property consisting of roughly 4.88 acres, plus or minus, located in the northwest 1/4 of Section 16, Township 21, North Range 87, West 6th PM, Rawlins, Carbon County, Wyoming, from 1 Industrial R7, 5 Residential 7.5. The upper portion of the property consisting of roughly 9.15 acres, plus or minus, located in the west half section 16, Township 21, North, Range 87 West, 6th PM, Rawlins, Carbon County, Wyoming, from 1 Industrial to C2, Commercial C2.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the rezoning changes for the property formerly known as the Lawrence property. And I will hand it over to you, Lou.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Honorable Council. Planning and zoning met on this zone change. With their approval, it was brought to the council. We had completed a meets and bounds survey, which kind of designated the lower portion, a little bit up on the hillside there, to accommodate that for R75, which initially it was industrial that came off the top of the hill. We also wanted to change the upper portion, which was industrial, to commercial. So that's where the two parcels come in. The 9.15 is on the upper, the 4.88 is on the bottom.
Go ahead, Councilmember Sager.
On this residential, is this residential mobile home?
No, it's residential R75. Once we go through this whole process, and if we're fortunate enough to get a developer to look at this, depending on what they want to do, we'll go ahead and adjust it accordingly. Right now, this is just to kind of lock it in place, so we don't have any issues up on the top like we used to have.
Councilmember Sager?
So, actually, I was gonna ask Bruce the same question. What if they want to do something different? Do we have to go back through this again, through planning and zoning, then we'll have to go through readings for us?
You can go through, if, depending on the commercial C2 up on the top portion, you can mix use that on the upper portion, the R75 on the bottom. If they wanted to do residential mobile homes, then we would have to come back to planning and zoning and come back to council.
Councilmember Elliott?
I would like the bottom of it to be a parking lot, something beautiful. So during this last fair and rodeo, there's cars parked like this, right? You're going down the center. It looks very narrow going down there. All of that could have been up in that parking lot. It could look beautiful. Instead, we had a bunch of dirt and weeds. Now, for the top part, for commercial, what do you realistically believe would go there? Because there needs to be a entrance and exit.
And the entrance, if you look at, if you can visualize where the Spruce Street comes in at, on the east side of Spruce Street, there's right-of-way there that'll take you up to the side. It's gonna take some work, but coming back down off the top into the rodeo court road, bring you off the other side on the west end. We've looked at that to come up Spruce Street, down rodeo. Or you could come up rodeo and then go back down to Spruce Street.
So there's a exit or entrance on Rodeo if you go from Spruce Street?
You can turn off of Spruce Street on south to Rodeo. And like I said, it's gonna take some work to get that road in there, but you would have one way in and one way out.
How's the bottom part and the top part currently zoned?
Industrial and R75.
Okay. The bottom part also, because there used to be trailers down there, right? Or no?
Not as long as I can remember, no.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, just junk, bunch of weeds. Currently, I think, however it's zoned now, I don't know. In the future, even currently, we could probably trade that property to the county for something else, so that maybe they could put a parking lot there, so it's safer for people to pass during the fair and rodeo. I just don't know, so I think I'd have to vote no, but thank you.
When we first bought these properties after the fire, the major purchase was made with two thoughts in mind. Number one, to rezone it so we didn't have industrial type business in the middle of town. That fire showed how dangerous that can be. So rezoning will take care of that. Number two, the main reason we bought it was to resell it. To resell it to residential, business, whoever might be interested in buying that property. The idea to make it a parking lot, and yes, the 1 week of fair, it is packed. The rest of the year, it is not.
Gotta bring more events, you're right.
So that doesn't make sense to make it a parking lot, and we want to recoup our money because that money came out of
Dangerous Building Fund.
Dangerous Building Fund. If we sell it and we gain that money back, then we can work on other properties in town that are dangerous, and we can work to clear out those properties and resell them. In other words, it's an investment in beautifying our town to sell that property. And like I said, this is just the first step, and I hope we get it sold. It'd be wonderful if it was before the end of the year. But I'd like to see it sold and see it given to a developer, residential or business, and to see that area not be weeds and trash.
Vice Mayor?
Once this is gone through, what's the turnaround time, do you think, to put this on the market? Do we have that yet?
I think that's going to take a work session with council. We want to be transparent on everything that we do with that property. So when we get to that point, we'll have a work session to bring the ideas and whom's interested in it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Lynn, will you open online voting, please?
Online voting is open.
Yay.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas and 1 nay. The 1 nay is Councilmember Elliott.
Okay, moving down to item C, a proposal of office management and budget changes to the federal grant regulations. Councilwoman Lewin, thank you.
Move to authorize the City of Rawlins to join the Common Interest Agreement coordinated by Public Rights Project and to participate as a supporting municipality in the legal challenge to the proposed OMB Federal Financial Assistance regulations, and to authorize the city attorney to execute the necessary documents and provide appropriate information or declarations in support of the effort.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and second to join the common interest agreement coordinated by the Public Rights Project. And I will pass it over to you, Attorney Mayberry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The OMB is the Office of Management and Budget that is one of the, with the federal government. They are proposing substantial changes to their federal regulations which govern grants and other federal financial assistance. This proposal, the proposed changes will significantly give, make a lot of significant changes and give very broad discretion to agencies to evaluate, suspend, terminate, and modify funding on current presidential and agency priorities. So even after the funding has been awarded to a project or a project has been underway. This changes would have tremendous implication if passed as presented. So for example, using the city as an example on this, that would impact the city's ability to pursue and rely on federal funding, because if it can get pulled out from the city midstream or even after an award has been granted, contracts are signed, that leaves the city holding the bag on a lot of projects that we may not have reserves or the ability to finance completely on our own. I've been following these changes very carefully. WHAM has also been following these proposed changes. There is significant, it's pretty much 100% opposition from any local governments because of the implications. The big change, one of the biggest changes, is that it would incorporate presidential executive orders and policies into the regulations. So if whatever happens to be an executive order would then be adopted within those regulations. If a project that is currently underway or would be receiving funding that is contrary to those policy objectives, we could get it pulled. That's the risk that this is presenting. WHAM has also been following this closely, has been circulating communications to local governments through the mayors and through other means. The implications are not just from the federal level, it also is the pass-through funding that through WCDA, all of the Wyoming agencies that serve as pass-through for these federal funds. So these implications are tremendous. The city's previously joined nationwide coalition comment letter opposing these changes, just comments, this is how we believe it would affect us, we're concerned about these. The concerns are pretty much unanimous across the board. The Public Rights Project, who is one of the main agents, one of the public interest organizations, is really spearheading a litigation challenging the proposed rules. The comments were submitted. They have not been incorporated into any revisions. The coalition has already initiated litigation in this that is being led by major cities, San Francisco, San Diego, New York, Boston, San Antonio. A lot of big cities with their big legal departments, litigation departments, are spearheading this. The city is what I'm looking is to just have the city join as a supporting municipality. We'd be named, we wouldn't have to do any litigation, wouldn't have to incur any costs. It's really just to support the objections to this and just represent Wyoming and our city.
And it's a quick turnaround, that's why this was added so quick.
Exactly, and so this has all been very quick turnaround. The comments were not incorporated, no major comments were incorporated into the proposed after the comment cutoff date, because it is proposed to be enacted, I think October 1st, October something. The changes, it's very quick litigation. It's going into with the federal government to halt this, and I just received the litigation, the invitation to participate a couple days ago.
Any questions? Councilmember Singer?
When do they want this? Like October?
The OMB changes on the federal level are proposed to be enacted in October to go into effect. And that's why this litigation is coming in to halt that, to stop that.
Okay. So what does it look like its passage might be? Whether or not it gets through Congress? How's that looking for them? Because if we could sign on, and then you just put a big target on your back. Because they could look and go, wait, there's a town in Wyoming that decided that they didn't want to be part of this, and yeah, they have federal funding, and we're pulling it. So you could be writing a big target right in the middle of your back by saying, yeah, we'll participate in this.
And the inverse is also true.
Absolutely. So there's a no-win here.
There's exactly, that's the unfortunate situation is my big call to this is whether the city participates or not is really to bring to council's attention, the public, that this is a big deal. This risks a lot of the project funding that we could get in the event somebody was to say that the city's objectives don't align with a certain policy. This are our water projects, our capital improvement projects, DDA projects where we get this federal funding.
Because our WCDA funding is federal pass-through funding.
Exactly.
For projects we have in town.
So I urge council to look into this as, more if you're available to take a look at this. The implications are very scary for grants. There's some things that make things a little bit easier, but the majority of them really complicate and create uncertainty and instability, and even applying for grant funding and whether it's even going to be available in the long run.
Councilmember Seela.
So this only has vote one time and it passes, or does it have to vote three times?
This is just to align the city with, just to say, hey, we support the opposition and the litigation.
Vice Mayor?
It's a public rights project? Is that what you said?
They are called the, I don't have it in front of me.
What, just
it's the Public Rights Project.
Can you give me an example of something that we're doing right now that would be directly affected?
Every single grant that we have that's passed through.
I don't see anything on here about grants. I see reproductive rights, voting rights, workers' rights, abuses of power. But I don't see anything about, that's the issues. That's their main issues on this site. I don't see grants. I don't see, to me it's a lot to jump on board with a group that we haven't had a chance to study or go through what they actually represent. Their core issues are, that's state issues. That's not, I don't think those are our local issues. I don't see anything on grants looking at their website.
This is the OMB proposed changes. If you were to look at those, I'm positive that you would find the correlation. This particular project is heavily supported by IMLA, which is the International Municipal Lawyers Association, the National County Governments. I can't remember what those initials are. Yeah, NARCO. NACO. And the National Mayors Association. There's a lot of organizations that are supporting the opposition through this group that happens to be spearheading a lot of it. And it's also through the legal departments of these big cities that have the manpower, brainpower, and time to put into the litigation.
Any further discussion? All right, Lynn, will you open online voting, please?
Online voting is open.
Nay. I logged out on it, sorry.
voting has closed. The motion passes with 4 yeas. The 4 yeas is Mayor Wells, Councilmember Elliott, Councilmember Lumen, Councilmember Seeloff. The nay is Vice Mayor Gardner. The 2 abstains is Councilmember Patterson and Councilmember Sanger.
Okay. With no further business that needs to be brought before the council, we'll adjourn this meeting at 7:32 p.m. And we will take a brief recess, to refill our oxygen. Let's meet back at 7:40.
Yeah, anytime you want to follow one side or the other side.
Yeah. I still think it's a good idea.
Yes, that too.
Join something.
The reason I abstain is it is 1 day to prepare for this. This is the first I've ever seen of this. That's not enough time for me to do my homework.
That's a resource. Wherever. Sometimes.
When you see a document for the first time in a meeting, that's not enough time for me to make a decision on it.
Right. No, then it sounds like you want to get back to it. I don't know how your phone on my side of the table. My phone's right here.
I get to be at the. We want to keep going on this infrastructure. Oh, okay.
The setting of the pipes, the concrete base and what have you. So,
We need to do an RFP. We're going to have to put up the rendering for these guys, so it's the closest to that.
so if we both.
We're not going to be that close, but I think we'll give enough to yes. But we're leaving flat. But the important thing is you want to try to get the infrastructure going.
No,
really?
there needs to be pads, there needs to be water.
I just feel like as long as we can shovel it down, and by the end of this month, then that will just let's get it off. Right. Steve, this is on after that. It didn't say C on it. I didn't know. It's not. I just want to, just in case it matters.
Okay, I will. Just move this. It's gonna, yeah, we're gonna plug it back into the computer. Nope, it goes right.
Oh, okay.
So even
residential area and keep your park up there. Because those 3 stone buildings there is the storage yard are some of the only remnants of the original 4 buildings. Those are very efficient. Portions right off the river of the U.S. Army or U.S. Storage. I wish if I was to try and do that, would be to make the park there, walled off from the background of the Hayes property and Taylor Sheriff's property. Clear delineation between commercial and residential, make the area around those very old buildings apart. there is an encumbrance, that there is a sewer that has been there for many, many years, and utilities would no fit if we tried to get rid of it. But it is established.
Yes, we are live on sound. We stay live on sound till the meeting is adjourned. So,
In workshops.
the entire time the council is working is done. We stay live with sound while you guys are on FaceTime. If you want to hear a boring room, watch us stay live.
There you go.
I know, I was like, should we sing happy birthday?
We should. We should sing happy birthday.
It might drive people away if I leave it.
Oh, no, we're playing.
You almost made me cry, sir.
Well, if you noticed, I did.
I know. That was part of the
I looked at Don, and he's doing the same thing.
I
He
know.
go even worse.
Yes.
I'm going,
I was like, don't cry, because that'll make it worse. And then I'm looking at Don, and he's like emotionally looking, and I was like, oh. It's important. It was beautifully done.
Transformers to other areas, but that the corridor is still there. There's still a utility.
Three bottles on, you feel a little skippy.
I'm on my second. I've got another one, so I'll take it home. Got another hour.
When are they going to count the votes? It was closed a half an hour ago. 9, 10, so when they usually come out with
I don't know. I don't even know how they're going to advertise
They
it.
have to go through two parts. They have to go through the part where the machine looks like. So they have to take out a sample. That's why it always takes longer, because the sample is going to change the
Well, they usually have the estimate pretty directly.
Yeah,
The estimate.
people tell
But,
them
yeah.
they'll say that, but then they have to take out.
Well, then there's the official count.
Right, you have to go back and you have to physically look at the card and verify that it's what the machine said. Take that.
Looks are both.
It used to be, you could listen to the radio and hear all tonight, but I don't know if it's on the radio anymore. Facebook, there it is. Go to Facebook. It'll be there. That'll look, it should be there.
How much have they done right now?
You think? I bet.
Facebook
Probably.
Oh, on the election? Oh,
Hey, I probably already got it out.
they probably have their guesses, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, I'm sorry.
I bet your wife got something.
Travis might have gotten it.
Yeah, I got a vote on, yeah,
And a few of them, I think, probably got their,
yeah. Yes, Lisa.
I think more people should run for county.
She sent me some pictures of another.
Jackie.
Not right now.
Did you guys go look at that?
Well, you have your.
Did she send them to you?
Huh?
You have to finish being there.
Well, I have to finish being mom in the next couple of years. They're all in high school now. I
that's 2
don't
more
want to miss
years.
anymore.
You'll be done in that.
4? I got a freshman, bro. So
I got a grandson in the Navy, and got a grandson in the Navy.
All right, council, let's get back to business.
It's them. That's control.
All right. We will go ahead and call this work session to order, and the first item for discussion is the VFW ball field concession stand located at the intersection of Rodeo Street and Daly Street in Rawlins. And I'm assuming we're going to start with you, Cody?
Wrong.
Oh,
That's all right. Sorry, man.
go ahead,
No,
city
I do have
city
everyone out
manager.
there to kind of help, but so really we just wanted to, you guys have had this come before you a lot, and we wanted to try and bring it in a little bit sooner, but we did have a couple meetings with some folks that were interested, and so henceforth we have it here now. But what we're really just kind of lining out today is we want to move forward with staff and with the kind of trying to get going and getting the infrastructure put in the ground, the water, the wastewater, the lines, and all that stuff going kind of ASAP. And so we want to get that going quickly, and then during that time, as we kind of work through that, in tandem, we'll also get an RFP going for the building, to build the building. And that will go ahead and get let out. And Myra is going to try and get something on the, thank you, Myra, sorry. Maybe I lacked giving direction there, my bad. But anyway, so it's going to look obviously similar to the rendition that we had before. It's going to have all the correct ADA compliances. It's going to have a little bit more of an internal kitchen that we know that the Little League Association was concerned about. And so the hope will be once we get the infrastructure put in, this will be going out. Someone will pick it up. They'll agree to do it. Our guidelines are going to be it has to be done by or before probably May 1st. And so that's our plan, and that's what we'd like to move forward with. And I have my gracious team up here for any specific questions you may have.
Councilmember Patterson.
Is this concession stand going to be stick-built, or is it going to be a prefab brought in?
I believe it's stick-built. Yeah. Public Works Director.
I think this is great.
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
Thank you. You can't imagine. I think we want this meeting to be over so we can go start digging the trench now. So, anyway.
Get out there.
I'm good with trench digging.
So I know that there was discussion in the past about the fab versus the built. Did you look at the cost difference, time difference? What was the thought process to go with this, which is beautiful, by the way, and I can't wait to get it in. But
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Lumen, largely it came out of talking with the local Little League groups. They liked these renditions much better, and I think this schematic allows a little bit more internal kitchenette things that didn't exist with the other stuff.
Any other discussion? Vice Mayor?
Cost difference?
This still falls in estimated design cost of $200,000 or build cost. So we're keeping everything within the same square footage and the same engineering estimate of around $200,000. Now that could vary once we start looking at the RFPs when they return, but from the concept, it was based on when we told everybody to kind of look at this from about a $200,000.
2,000 would be nice.
Yeah.
If you can get it down there, let's go.
Hamburger shovel.
Vice Mayor? Or, sorry, I was looking at Daryl. Councilmember Sanger.
So the only question I would have, having worked in this environment, is that depending on what their food service actually is, what they're going to be serving, is whether or not McKell, Murray, Food Police, is going to tell you that you have to have a different wall lining that's washable.
Yeah, like an FRP.
Right, like FRP, sure, yeah, exactly, because that's what the fairgrounds, the inside of the fairgrounds, and 90% of that building is nowhere near food, but it's still all FRP everywhere. So I'm just a curiosity, when she comes in and says, okay, it's OSB, but you're going to have to either seal it with an oil-based paint that is washable, scrubbable, blah, 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 epoxy probably, or just slap on FRP all the way around the inside of it so you can just hose it off.
Absolutely, and we thought about that, so that'll be in the RFP, in the design build portion of it. We'll kind of word out some way that it has some kind of lining on the interiors, be it tile, be it FRP, but they're to bring us what they could probably do for a good, within that reasonable price.
Any other discussion?
do you need like an agreement? that the council says go quickly?
No, we're taking that as unless you guys all tell me not to, then this is what we're going to work with.
Good, go.
Wonderful.
Absolutely great.
More good news.
And that's all we have.
Great. Let's move down to the discussion on commercial and oversized vehicle parking. And
This, where's this?
you have a pile of lovely paperwork
I have
that
that.
supports
I don't
this.
see it. Where's it on here?
I don't think it's on. Oh.
It's on there.
The moving of wires.
I think I got 2 of these. Did you get one?
I got one.
There's plenty of them around there.
That she has to connect it.
There's 2 different ones. Yeah, exactly.
I want you to multitask.
And it looks like my computer's gonna spend the night or the week with you.
I think one's the state and one is ours.
Cause it, and I've tried it a couple of times just to shut it off and it won't shut off.
Mine are both what are. Oh, I got 2. I got 4 copies. Okay.
There you go.
So, work session on commercial and oversized vehicles. The purpose of this work session is just to discuss the city's existing ordinances, whether they adequately address certain types of vehicles parked on city streets, and if not, whether council wishes to pursue revisions or any additional changes. At this time, no ordinance changes are proposed, rather staff just seeks council's input and policy direction. So at council's request, I have reviewed the city ordinances, and I have provided you also a printout of the relevant ordinances and the sections of Title 10 that govern parking, that provide definitions. I've highlighted the relevant ordinances, but also included the rest of the ordinances for context. Some of them do kind of relate to one another, but some of these are also standalone that really kind of are a little bit piecemeal, and that actually is the issue. So the ordinances have been reviewed, are concerned commercial vehicles, truck routes, weight and load restrictions, and parking of commercial vehicles. The review identified several inconsistencies within the current code that make interpretation and enforcement challenging. While individual provisions serve legitimate government purposes, the ordinances have evolved, unfortunately, separately over time, and my review demonstrates that regulation over similar subject matters utilizes different terminology, different standards, and different sections of Title 10. So as a result, the present regulatory scheme is inconsistent. This review is not intended to advocate for one position or policy outcome. Rather, it is just intended to highlight the inconsistencies within the existing ordinances, explain how those ordinances interact, and allow council to determine if further work should be done in this area. Title 10 is what governs vehicles and traffic in the Rawlins Municipal Code. The first chapter at 10:02 immediately sets forth definitions that apply to this title. There are several reasons why the city's definitions can be difficult to apply. So looking at 10:02-010, which is subsection 1, it is the city's definition of commercial vehicle. Looking through it, it looks fairly straightforward. And first, the ordinance requires, so commercial vehicle means any vehicle or vehicle combinations used for the transportation of persons for hire, compensation or profit, or designed or used primarily for the transportation of property for gain or profit. This is a functional definition. It has no objective criteria. Is it size? Is it weight-based? Is it anything? It's strictly how it's used. And so a pickup truck, for example, could be used depending, like even with or without a logo. How is it being used at that moment? Is it being used to transport a plumber and his tools to a job site? Or is he buying groceries? You know, and then taking them home to his kids. So it's this definition really just falls into its use. And as described, it doesn't have any objective standards. How do we qualify this? Ultimately, and also third, the ordinance does not provide any indication. It doesn't align with the city's apparent regulatory objective as to commercial vehicles. If the concern is, for example, oversized vehicles or commercial vehicles, as we think of commercial vehicles traditionally, this doesn't quite fit the bill. And finally, I have the statutory definition here on the side. It does start out identically, but then the Wyoming statute goes on to provide objective standards so certainly the use is commercial, but then objectively, if it meets this certain size criteria, then it is automatically a commercial vehicle. So A, B, and C, or A or B, or a combination of A or B, is 2 axles and a gross vehicle weight of 2,600 pounds, a power unit that has 3 or more axles, regardless of weight, and any type of combination. So the easy visual of this is a semi-tractor trailer combination. Pretty clear to visualize that. So then the question is, under our current framework, is it a commercial vehicle? And it's kind of hard to say. It depends. Under the city's definition, a logoed company truck, as my example, that an employee takes home at night is probably a commercial vehicle, assuming the company truck is used in company business, or did the company provide it for just to be able to, as a commuter? It's really hard to identify. And a logoed vehicle is not automatically a commercial vehicle under the definition. So that creates a wrinkle in how do we enforce this, interpret this. And the ordinance asks us what is the vehicle designed or primarily used to do, not merely who owns it. So this illustrates another enforcement problem, is identical truck. There's identical F-250s parked next to each other. Truck A is a logoed company plumbing truck. It contains the tools of the trade, probably a commercial. Same pickup, but it's personally owned, not commercial. Same identical pickup. And then if that same plumbing company, say it's a big plumbing company, and they're using that same logo truck for the commuter, I don't know. We don't have clear guidance on that. So all those 3 trucks have the same dimensions, same weight, same visibility, same impact on city streets. We don't really have a clear way to differentiate. I do include in here some government vehicles, the police special response vehicle, there's a code enforcement vehicle, and a sheriff vehicle. Those wouldn't fall into commercial, those are government vehicles, so they're neither personal private vehicles or commercial vehicles, just to provide a distinction. Government vehicles vary in size, dimension, use, intent, weight, function. So some of those characteristics are still in there, but under the definition, not commercial, not personal. Next we go into chapter 1060. So I just want to qualify as a practical matter, chapter 1033 contains the city's general parking regulations. However, in 1060, there is yet a different and conflicting definition applicable to vehicles that relates to a commercial motor carrier. And under this chapter, it says a commercial motor carrier shall be construed to mean any truck, trailer, or combination thereof, carrying or constructed to carry cargo and having a rated load capacity of 1 ton or more. What does that mean, right? The ordinance specifically refers to carrying or constructed to carry cargo. But in looking at load capacity, does that mean payload? Does that mean towing capacity? But that carrying cargo, I also looked up Merriam-Webster's definitions, payload capacity, and then also a bunch of motor vehicle manufacturers. The total amount of cargo weight that can be added to a vehicle's empty weight is referred to as its payload capacity, and this is determined by a vehicle manufacturer. Despite the limitations of the ordinance that say other than personnel, payload does automatically include everything that vehicle can carry, including fully loaded passengers. So payloads, for example, this was also interesting, is, actually I'll go get to that in a moment. So just to fill the gap, towing capacity is the weight that can be securely pulled behind a vehicle, a trailer, something like that. And that number is different with manufacturers as well. So the bulk of the weight is supported by trailer axles rather than the axles of the vehicle, so that makes it a little bit different. Some common goods that are towed, just to give you a visual, a car is about 2,800 pounds, so tow car. Car trailer, just the empty trailer, is another 2,000 pounds. Motorboat up to 2,500 pounds. A boat trailer, anywhere from 300 to 1,500 pounds is the average. And a camper, like a fifth wheel camper, empty without anything in it, can be about 5,200 pounds. So in this chapter, the big notable inconsistency is that definition of commercial motor carrier, which conflicts with commercial vehicle, as yet again. But interestingly enough, it's not used anywhere else in this chapter except in that definition. The chapter goes on, the very interesting thing about this chapter is it has a very specific purpose. The weight and load restriction is the prevention of unnecessary wear and tear on the streets of the city, elimination of unnecessary traffic hazards and loss of life and property resulting from such hazards, and the maintenance of a sound, well-regulated traffic system. So the chapter's stated purpose is pretty clear, but the definitions don't really necessarily align with that.
So Panita, would the goal be to regulate semi-truck trailers? Is that
That's
versus?
That is ultimately council's discussion.
But was that the original intent
Of this chapter?
Yes. I mean,
This
not
chap-
that you can.
Yeah, not that I
guess,
can
but-
necessarily say explicitly, but I would imagine, so part of that, a lot of these ordinances, they were recodified in 1978. These when they were originally written, I don't know, I didn't dig that deep. I dug until
That's still a long
1978,
time ago.
right?
Yeah.
And so, based on the purpose, the implication is that it was, big semis, big types of vehicles that are, barreling through residential streets that.
Councilwoman Lumen.
So with these regulations that we have in place now for our city, what are the pinch points for our police?
Well, let me get through this and then we'll get to that. So rated load capacity, all of these, so we're talking about the commercial motor carrier. So load capacities, these all have 1 ton or more, all of these examples. And I included the buses, even though these are school buses, so it would fall in that governmental, but these are often available at auction, people buy them. You see hippies living in them, all those sorts of things. There are also, similar types of buses are also used in commercial for, different things.
Camps, whatever.
Right. Just an example of what's the rated load capacity of 1 ton or more. Here's some common pickups, what they are. These are, totally standard pickups we see on our city streets. Common loads that are carried. As I got into this, I dug into what some common loads are. So common loads that somebody might have in their personal pickup, quarter cord of wood for the fireplace is about 1,200 pounds. They can get even heavier if they're freshly cut because they're still wet. Sand volume in a half a cubic yard is up to 1,500 pounds, also another moisture content issue. A half a cubic yard of gravel can be up to 1,500 pounds. Mulch, half a cubic yard, 400 pounds. And just plain dirt, another 1,000 pounds for a half a cubic yard. So this is just our regular ordinary pickups, little landscaping projects we're doing around our house. Then we get to so back to the parking large trucks, 1060060. Parking large trucks, which is not really large trucks. It goes into a semi-trailer, but doesn't have a prohibition on the tractor. And then also in diagonal parking zone, a vehicle that is 20 feet in length. And so that's where there's a lot of common pickups that are used for personal use that are beyond 20 feet. 20 feet is 240 inches. Manufacturers usually put these in inches on their dimensions. So common pickups, anything you got a long bed on, probably gonna exceed those 20 feet. You end up putting like a big, huge cow on it, you're gonna exceed those 20 feet. And that's in diagonal spots where it specifically prohibits that. So there's really only a couple of short areas in town, here along downtown and then along the fairgrounds are the only diagonal parking areas we have in town right now.
And the Carbon Building.
Yeah, and the park, that's right, and the Carbon Building. So my review of the ordinances also suggests that these concerns relating to commercial vehicles, which are visibility, emergency access, roadway preservation, neighborhood compatibility, they don't necessarily depend upon whether a vehicle is commercial. And these impacts are generally independent of ownership or use. So that use distinction is kind of a challenging way to characterize any of these. A privately owned semi-tractor trailer, same identical issues as a commercially owned semi-tractor trailer. Large motorhome or fifth wheel, identical types of issues. So the underlying concerns of, regardless of commercial or private, are the same as perhaps an oversized. So this was just an overall review of what are the issues that we're seeing. And when we're looking at load capacity at length and those types of things. So council has previously considered ordinances aimed at addressing recreational vehicles and trailers parked on residential streets. Those included motorhomes, campers, travel trailers, horse trailers, boat trailers. There was a long list. That was the most recent proposal on this was in 2020. It went through 3 readings and then ultimately failed. During that 2020 proposal, there was also, during my research, there was an intensive review devoted to understanding how other Wyoming municipalities handled recreational parking issues, and also submitted this to some questions with the Urban Systems Committee. The city has also considered and implemented other traffic management strategies, such as the weight and load restrictions. Those were last recodified in 1978. When they were originally proposed and added, I didn't dig that far, but before 1978. In 2007, the one-way parking was added to our ordinances, and there's one, I can think of one-way street in town, and that's at 14th Street by Washington Park. The ordinance is a little bit odd because it allows, it has specific language to have parking only on one side of the street, specifically on the left side of the street. That is implemented by placing signs that limit parking to that. We haven't implemented that. It is a very narrow street though to get through there, but right now there is two-way parking, and I'll show you an image of that.
Edinburgh also has a one-way.
Oh, it has one-way as well. So there's been my review indicated there's been prior parking proposals. They all aimed at kind of the same thing. They're at issues with parking of oversized vehicles, the parking limitations in certain neighborhoods. They all have, and they've all addressed impacts. Nothing has totally fully solved the problem. As you know, in terms of some of these inconsistencies, they've been piecemeal. It's important to recognize these ordinances have been developed at a time, a lot of these at a time and place when the size, the prevalence, the types of vehicles owned by families were very different than what they are today. Commercial trucks have long been regulated for a lot of purposes. They used to fit into that, squarely into that definition. Unfortunately, our ordinances and the definitions have not evolved with the changes in technology and society and industry. We also have a changing lifestyle patterns within our own community. A lot of our houses were developed, and neighborhoods in certain areas of town were developed in times when families only had one vehicle. They parked in a little garage that was attached. People didn't ordinarily have boats or other toys. Also, industry didn't used to provide company vehicles to employees to take home. So there's been an increased demand for on-street parking. So just as an example of some of the different streets in town where these images are just illustrative purposes. It just provide a glimpse into the actual parking situations and neighborhood layouts around town. These images are all from Google Maps. They're not exhaustive in any way. It's just, and there's nuances around town. So for example, on High Street, which is the Mountain View edition, the residential lots in this area are generally narrower. Garages are smaller. They were usually designed for one vehicle. In some of the residences here, there's a narrow alley that allowed access to a detached garage. Thereby, street parking for larger or additional vehicles is limited, and it's a commodity. Birch Street, this is the Park Hill edition. Here, the streets are also narrower. Lot sizes, so as in Mountain View, Birch Street, the lot sizes average 0.13 acres or about 6,200 square feet. These homes were generally built between the 1920s and the 1940s. Again, limited off-street parking in these areas. This is the one-way street next to Washington Park. This is Mountain View edition. These homes were built after World War II. Lot sizes average 0.13 acres or about 5,600 feet. Also limited off-street parking and limited street parking. East Buffalo Street, this neighborhood, these homes were built generally, most of them between 1910 and the 1910s and 1920s. These lot sizes are also smaller, about 0.13 acres. Garages in this area, older, generally detached single-car garages. In Southside, there's various additions. In Southside as well, the original lot sizes were 0.13 acres. In this area of town, a lot of properties have expanded into adjacent lots as neighboring structures have been torn down, lots consolidated into one property. So now the average property is about 0.22 acres, about double the size. Streets on Southside are also wider in general. So there's the ability to park some larger vehicles without impeding traffic as much in this area. Alpha Street is just south of the high school. These are newer developments. These were built in the 1970s. These are also larger. They average about 0.21 to 0.28 acres or 900 to 15,000 square feet. These often have an attached garage, sometimes two-car garage. They also usually have wider driveways, and the lot sizes are wider on the street frontage. Highland Hills is a similar dynamic over there. The lots are actually even a little bit larger over there. Average size is about a quarter of an acre, or about a little under 11,000 square feet. And as in the other newer developments, those generally from 1970s and forward were wider. The garages are usually for 2 vehicles, plenty of driveway surfaces, so allowing for increased off-street parking in those areas. So the situation isn't equal around all areas of town. In looking at this, you know, and in reviewing the past proposals, the underlying purposes when they've been stated, it's, you know, why is regulation considered? So public safety, infrastructure and operations, neighborhood compatibility. So then the question to council is, should the city regulate certain vehicles parked on residential public streets? And if so, how can the city do so? At this time, staff and myself, I have not brought forth any proposals, any proposed changes, but more so these are the inconsistencies and these are the inconsistencies within the ordinances, the reality of the nuances between the different areas of town, and just a high level perspective of the situation.
I'll make some comments, Panita. I think that the redefining the definitions and clarifying, I think that's all probably a good thing to do, especially with the changes in how our world operates and the vehicle sizes and the loads. And but I was here in 2020, and I actually ran with the idea in mind to get stuff off the streets. The campers and the boats, and when I got into it in 2020, I realized that our people, they showed up in droves. They want their toys. And I actually changed my vote on the third reading because they were so passionate about it. Now there was 1 or 2 people that showed up in support of getting him off the streets, but really the amount of people that crowded that room in 2020 was astronomical. So I personally believe in safety and that some of these campers block those intersections and you can't see around them. And with, you know, it can be dangerous. And in the winter, when you're trying to go down those very narrow streets in Mountain View, it's terrible. But I do know that the public at that time in 2020 was not supportive of getting their stuff off the streets. That being said, I don't know what the rest of the council feels, but I definitely think that we could define the commercial. I think that's a good starting point, is defining the commercial versus, because like your Uber driver, I don't think that should qualify the same as a semi-truck. That just doesn't make any sense to me. But what's your thoughts?
Could we get a committee together to kind of go through this and kind of come up with some plans, like a couple council people and maybe a couple police officers and maybe like some of them from Cody's staff or something that deals with all the like snow removal and all, get some kind of committee going that we kind of discuss this. And
we did have a committee in 2020.
Yeah, I know. But we're moving forward. 2020 is past.
But I just wanted to put that on the books, that there was a committee, they put a lot of time and effort into that. Councilwoman Lumen.
We do have a code. I don't know how well it's being enforced about vehicles not obstructing the view from the curb. So that is in place. And I do think having some of the streets being one way would help with those narrow streets. But you're right, our town is unique, and most people are here for the main benefit of camping and boating and outdoor activities and your four-wheeler. And the idea that they would have to pay extra for a place to park that, it doesn't sit too well. But if we can get some basic definitions and clear up maybe some of the narrow streets. But I did want to ask again, the police, what pinch points do they have with our laws that are in place?
So in regard to frankly, in regard to the strict enforcement of commercial vehicles, that's not done because the reality is the application is our ordinance is antiquated. In regard to the parking, there is visibility from the curb. There is an ordinance that's 10 feet. They go out there and they measure. Unfortunately, even if they're 15 feet away, a camper trailer, it still hinders visibility and can be an obstruction. But as you very astutely noted, our community demographics, our hobbies here are very, we're on an outdoorsy group. Also, the ordinances, our homes, haven't evolved with our lifestyle changes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't, those little one-car garages, oftentimes they've been converted into, additional rooms because you can't put a modern pickup there. So there's a lot of, realities there that how do we work around those? How do we balance that? And that's where there's a lot of considerations in this. It's not just, let's make parking on make one-way streets. Under the ordinance, it allows it to be parking only on the left side of the street. What if you live on that side?
Yeah.
Councilmember Patterson.
I'm almost with the way Jackie was talking about, with exception. My whole idea is public safety. I live on 9th Street, one of the narrowest streets in this town. When I go down 9th Street from my house, there is one corner lot down there where there's a trailer parked up on the park drive, a truck parked up in there, and the truck is parked less than 10 feet away from a fire hydrant. Not once have they been cited for anything. I was on my way to this meeting tonight, and I came within 2 to 3 feet of getting smacked by another car because I could not see that car coming up the street on Cherry Street. That's public safety, and it's not being adhered to. So for me to vote positively to let these trailers stay on the street, we're going to have to address public safety 100%, because right now I don't believe there is any public safety when there's trailers parked on corners where you can't see around them. There's got to be something done. Park on the other side or whatever, but I'm at a stop sign and I go pulling out there and wow, here it is. I can't count on both hands how many times I've come that close because of that situation.
Yep.
And me personally, I'm tired of that. One of these days it's going to get hit. I'm going to get hurt, my wife's going to get hurt, or people in the other car are going to get hurt. Now, is it worth it? No, it's not. So I think something has to be done in that situation. As for parking without public safety, where it's not quite an issue, I'm all 100% for parking on the street, with exception. I have a 38-foot fifth wheel, and I don't believe that should be parked on 9th Street at all, because I'm over halfway out in the street if I park my fifth wheel on the street. Over halfway. Because that's a big trailer. I bought the lot next to me, so I have off-street parking for that purpose. But we got to look at public safety a little closer on some of these streets. Our code enforcement officer needs to look at these, and police officers need to look at these situations. It's getting brutal out there, and it's getting worse and worse. I've lived in this house for over 30 years, almost 40. The traffic coming down 9th Street has just got unreal. We used to see 1 or 2 cars a day where you didn't know who they were or what. We're seeing 20, 30 cars a day going up and down that street. Kids playing. Eric brought something up on his little podcast tonight about speed limits in them areas. There's no reason why we should have 30-mile-an-hour speed limits through those zones at all. So public safety is my concern on this, and the parking and stuff like that is a big concern of mine.
Vice Mayor Garner.
Driving through those neighborhoods, my sister lives up near High Street, so I go up there frequently, and that is one of the things I've noticed is when you're traveling through there with how narrow those are, when cars are trying to back out of their driveways, that's probably the craziest thing I've ever seen. Is I can't see them to save my life because they're blocked by all the trailers that are on the street for that view, and then the trailers are, they're only a couple of feet away from their parking spot, so they're backing out. They can't see. They have no line of sight from their point of view. I have no line of sight. The only thing that you see is all of a sudden there's reverse lights and a tail light on, and that's, you see one, not both, but you see one. And I've always thought it's crazy. We don't have. I would be curious. How many accidents do we have in there? Is there not a lot, or because it seems like it would be frequent?
Specifically, which area are you talking about?
Just
The whole Mountain View edition.
Mountain View area.
Park Hill edition.
Just
Okay, I can get those numbers for you.
Just
That would
curious.
be helpful,
because-
yeah. Because I think when we had the committee before, we went through the number of accidents, we
Yeah.
went through trying to make some of those narrow streets, if the street was a certain width, then it needed to be one way. And trailers, like you said, your big one, if it's a certain width and it goes, because you have a width of a street for 2 cars or trucks or whatever, and then you add 2 giant trailers in there. Some of them, they can't, it's like 4 cars that you have to have the link for. And some of our streets, like you said, they were built in the 20s, 40s. They don't have the space for that many vehicles. So it was quite lengthy. I was quite disappointed that it didn't pass for the safety aspects of it, but there we are.
Well, one of the problems we came across with this, was any vehicle under our regulation right now that is capable of hauling 1 ton, or any trailer is capable of hauling 1 ton, is not allowed to park on our streets by our ordinance. So that needs, something needs to be changed on that somewhere. Because 90% of the pickups and trailers in town can't park on our streets right now by our ordinance. So it just needs a refresh. I'm not pushed so much to even get all the trailers. It all needs updated to now, where we're at now, and stuff.
Because then you had people, well, we're camping. I need my trailer in front of my house so I can load it and unload
Well,
it.
for a certain amount of time, that's fine for them to pack up, but not leave it there.
We looked at that
I think
in
that was in
2020.
there.
It was in there, and it was only for the winter. And still, we
Still,
I
the
mean, we were here
opposition was
for
pretty hard.
that was probably one of our 2 a.m. meetings. Councilmember Singer.
So the drawback here, at least it seems to me, is that if I park my truck currently, my white beat up 95, in front of Bruce's beautiful red pickup, his truck is almost 2 feet wider than mine. And that's just the trucks themselves
Yes,
have gotten bigger.
bigger.
They're physically larger. How are you going to make the street physically wider?
Can't.
So the solution is going to be something that allows probably one-way traffic that goes, this street is the Indy 500 in the morning, and that street over there is the Indy 500 in the night, which is 11th what it is right now. Because we have an ordinance, 103305, which basically says if you impede traffic. Well, my street is, mind you, I measured it, my street's 29 feet wide. So what is a standard width of a lane based on what YDOT calls a lane? What do they call it on a highway? What is a lane? Well, the only way we can get to a lane is to say you only can go one way, because you are impeding traffic, and it says free movement of vehicular traffic. That means I have to drive down the road, move over to the center line, move over the center line, move over the center line. I'm doing this thing. Well, what's the guy coming the other way doing? Moving over the center line, moving over the center. Then someone stops, because they have to, because there's a car on this side and there's a car on this side, and you can't drive two vehicles through here.
And you throw those ice ruts in there
Oh, they're
during
my
the winter.
favorite. Yeah. Let's slide into the curb with no way of stopping. Yeah. So, but the homes have not changed. They haven't done anything. Before, when you were 16, it was a privilege just to drive the car to go to the store with your mom. Now, if you don't own a car and a TV and a phone, you're just not a kid. That's just the world we're in. And all of the vehicles are fatter. They're just bigger. And our street. I didn't say that.
Well,
So-
by legal law, legal with 8.5 feet. If you're under 8.5 feet wide, you're legal.
Right, but 8.5
So
feet and
you-
8.5
yeah,
feet is
yeah,
17 feet.
yeah,
My roadway
yeah.
is 29
Yeah.
feet.
So
I
you
have
throw
12
a
feet
parked
to
car
work
on
with.
there. Yeah.
I know.
Okay, what am I going to do with 12 feet other than drive one vehicle?
Mm-hmm.
I can't drive two, because there goes the mirrors. They're gone.
That's
And
assuming there's no cars parked alongside the road when
I'm
you're
taking
going
those
through
mirrors
there.
off too. So, and that's,
Oh.
but the physicality of the streets cannot change.
No.
We cannot open them up unless we go in and say,
So the homeowners.
Chris Weisenberg, yeah, he actually said this to me. He goes, you could go in and take out all the boulevards, get rid of all the trees, and just open that up. Well, 8th is like that. 8th Street's like that, right? But you get to the end of 8th, and there they are. They're sticking back out there again. Two vehicles cannot go through here. And that's just two vehicles. That's not vehicles parked on the side, because they took out all their boulevards on 8th Street. They're gone. So it looks really wide until you get to the end of it. And then you realize, I still have to drive in. I still have to come in, because they didn't take out, because that's where the power poles are. They didn't take out the power poles. So this is one of those, especially in the Mountain View area, where where we live. Terry and I live, for those people out in viewing land. Those roads are narrow. There's not a road up there until you go up to park, up around the park. That's the only road I know in the entire area that's wide enough to accommodate two cars and two vehicles in motion. That's the only one I know. All the rest of them, no. You can't. You're driving around somebody's vehicle every time.
I like to call it our little war zone, because that's what it is up there.
Yeah.
I'm serious. It's a war zone up there. You better know defensive driving is all I can say.
Any further discussion?
Not currently, and they want to go.
Vice Mayor.
I was just looking online at the lane width, what it's considered.
A lane.
Like a narrow lane is 10 feet.
So
That's
two
narrow.
of those is 20.
Right.
That leaves 9 feet total.
Yeah, and if you have two vehicles
And a parked car
and
on
they're
the street.
8 feet, you got 16 feet, you've got a whole 13 feet left. You just, so would it be in our best interest to just say if it's under the 12 feet width, if parked cars, then those are all one lane roads?
Yeah.
It's worth a discussion, but you're going to have people that are going to be, I park my vehicle here, and I want it to be here. Okay, well, you can park it here, or you can park it here, but there's only one lane then.
Yeah.
Which way do you want to go, north or south?
I'm being with that, the way our ordinance reads right now. You can only park on one side of the street with one way. So that would have to be
Left
changed.
side.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Which makes sense because you have to have safety vehicles have to get through if there's something going on.
Yeah.
But you
Well,
can't
that
do that right
presents a whole new
now.
problem
So
right
it doesn't, I mean, either
They're
you have
dodging
it
the
or
same
just get rid of
vehicles.
it. Yeah.
I do think a committee is a
We
good,
can address it
good-
again, it's just going to be kind of the same fight.
yes.
How wide is a fire truck?
Huh?
How wide is a fire truck?
Alan, how wide is a fire
Yeah.
truck?
They're on,
Oh, okay.
It's when you make the turn.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you've got
There you
100
go.
feet behind you that you're trying to turn around a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with the ladder truck up in that area, I'm telling you that.
You can take out a few things with that.
I don't know if that leads you to where we need to start, but
Well,
it's a good start.
so then, I mean, the next step would be if council authorizes the committee to look into this and kind of set some guidelines into, we'd like to get something by a committee meeting and then have some kind of a proposal or status update a couple months out.
Yep.
Who do we want on the committee?
I just have a quick question. Can we find the last committee's notes and information and maybe just,
I have them. Yes.
Awesome.
I'm happy to show those.
I mean,
Yep.
that might solve all of them.
Wouldn't I be on it?
Well, I think all of us would like to be on it, but we
All of
only
us
need
would like to
two.
be
so-
on it. Since I was on it before.
Okay.
I would.
Just a point I'd like the council and council to consider is when we built the depot park, and the depot park was built, sorry, my name's Mark Pappenheim. When we built the depot park, there was no consideration, it was an afterthought, that we shut the access to several businesses off, including the railroad, when we made the one-way streets at the approach to the depot. So the newspaper no longer was able to get their semi down to where they stored all their extra paper. The Coors plant no longer could get their Pepsi or Coors trucks in through that alternate route. We all considered it an alternate route. Perkins Conoco, which that building was, predates City Hall, it was built in about 22. And that is a hazmat and heavy truck route, plus our mail. Our mail all was going down Front Street, and we shut that street off inadvertently. So that moved all of that heavy traffic onto Cedar Street. And then people didn't want those big trucks or placarded trucks on Cedar Street. So they started having to use some of the residential streets to gain access in and out of their businesses. So between the 52,000-pound allowances for garbage trucks, large dump trucks making deliveries or construction, I just ask the council to be pretty careful with putting semi limits on. We don't want them in the neighborhoods, but that's what police department's for. If you see a hazmat load that's parked in front of a residence because the driver lives there and he's catching that before he goes to Colorado, that's a citable thing. You can't have a hazmat load in residential area. It has to go to a safe haven. So I just ask you to please be careful not to impose rules that are gonna hurt businesses that's their home, they've been there forever, and I'd hate to see them be displaced or closed.
Yep. It's a very great point. Thank you, Mark. Did you catch all that, Anita?
No.
One quick thought to add in addition
Let's
to the effect it would have on the public sector is the effect it would have on public safety. One-way roads are going to increase our response times, and they might impede our responses as well.
I think that's why they have never been enacted in the past. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
What's the difference between now and, because I mean, if you run in, if there's a vehicle coming down the road and you're going up the road, that's worse than just flowing with traffic. Correct?
Unless you have to go all the way up 8th Street to come back down 9th Street to get to the address you're going to, as an example.
Oh, just,
The
you'd
longer the
add,
distance.
you'd add that extra block to go around. Okay, I see what you're saying, but I guess when I'm thinking about a one-way, I would feel like somebody impeding your traffic would be more impactful than having them drive an extra block. Just, just trying to get them out of the way. If they're, let's say they're towing a trailer, worst case scenario, they're not gonna have anywhere to duck out of the way quickly.
Yeah, both sides are true. I haven't actually seen that myself since I've been.
Boy, one of our leader meetings.
Any other? Okay. We'll adjourn the workshop at 8:37.
Myra, updates are underway. Please keep your computer on.
Been doing that for 3 weeks, 2 weeks now.
It's still updated.
It's been updated.
Well, it was probably asleep for some of
No,
It doesn't.
just
not
I mean, like,
say-
like,
Oh,
when you close.